feel that in Silicon Valley, angels are ready to invest more as a first individual check than in other places. This is why in Europe we kind of put 5K, and this is a bit of a stretch because our community is mostly first-time investors. Moving to Silicon Valley, nobody cares where you are from because you basically are from somewhere else most of the time. A woman was promoted and she has the imposter syndrome. She just has the beginner syndrome. Every time you go to a different
experience
market, you kind of different elements, you maybe start from a beginner place.
The end of the podcast, the guests have a chance to ask me one question.
If we would talk 1 year from now, what you would like to be most proud of that happened in 25?
Hi, my name is Aytekin from Verso Talk Show, featuring immigrant investors and founders raising millions of dollars. The goal of the podcast is to educate immigrant women on investment, on fundraising, growing their startups and companies to become successful leaders in America. Today, our guest is Rrooks Femigrant from Romania, and she's the co-founder of the WIT Angels Club. Rrooks, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
I am very, very excited to have you in our podcast. So let's start by introducing...
I'm excited but nervous too. So let's see how this works.
That's natural. So this at Verso Talk Show, we have a motto or quote. It says, "Authentic talks inspire lives." So
let's live up to it.
Yes. So I love you that you brought this up to my attention. So thank you for being authentic. We started great. So please introduce yourself.
Okay, you started with the keywords. I'm Rrooks from Romania. I have a very complicated name that, for the record, I will spell it out. So it's Ruxandra Oana Muys Stoyan, but everybody calls me Rrooks. On top of being from Romania, I think right now I'm pretty much starting to be from anywhere and everywhere, because I have moved from country to country. And I'm enjoying the sunny California only for the last 5 years. So it's a recent home for me. In my life, I've been a lot of things. I started with being a medical doctor back in my home country, Romania. Fortunately, I kind of had a lot of opportunities to shift and change my career and my interests. So after practicing for 3 years medicine, I realized it's not really my calling. And I was lucky to get opportunities to get into other lines of business. Then I was for about 21 years with one company, pretty consistent on this area. I went into management consultant and I was in PwC. I was a partner with PwC and moved country to country. And then I came here and I realized what it means to be an immigrant and a Femigrant. But okay, I guess it's gender neutral, and kind of realized that there are certain things that a visa status would not allow you to do, which was working. So I have moved into doing the things that I was allowed to do at that time as a desperate housewife visa holder. So one of the things that I realized I could do was actually starting to be more aware and to be more knowledgeable and to start investing in startups, because this is the place where you can do this. So part of this journey was to establish a community of women angels. So we are all women coming from Romania as an origin, but also other countries. So we are quite international in terms of location. And we are investing as a group in startups that create impact in the world.
Amazing.
Thank you.
How many women are there in the board?
We are now 80. We started 3 years. 80?
Wow.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Impressive.
I'm very proud of this.
When did you start it?
We started 2.5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And as of yesterday, actually I looked at some figures. We have invested €1 million in 14 startups.
I applaud you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank
amazing. That's amazing. So now let's talk about the numbers and founders you invest. So you said that you reached already 1 million investments, that you made investment, right? And would you like to share what are these ideas? Who are the founders? Have you invested only in women founders, or it's mixture of all genders?
Okay. So our thesis, although we are a very diverse as background club of angels, we have a couple of elements that form our thesis. And the first one is tech with impact. And by impact, we don't necessarily mean better for the planet or better for education. Any startup that can demonstrate what's going to be the impact for society, it fits our thesis. It needs to be technology driven. This is the second one. And the third one, which is a kind of a no-go, the founding team needs to be at least 80% women.
Amazing.
We are trying hard to keep this, and sometimes we need to pass extraordinary investment opportunities that are coming from our male partners. But as a group, together we invest in.
You have a goal.
We have this goal, and we were true to our credo for these 14 investments that are pretty diverse. I mean, we have a lot of health tech. We also have deep tech. We have robotics. I mean, the ladies really loved the robotics part. And then we have more women-oriented med tech. And we recently had a startup that it's developing something innovative in the area of construction and a more eco-friendly concrete like material. So it can be quite diverse.
Interesting. Does cold outreach work?
Cold outreach from us to...
From founders to you?
It does. I mean, we have a website. We are very proud of our website. Sometimes the startups reach out to us. My co-founder is doing the vetting. So it is working. I mean, we are very interested and curious to read everything. But I'll be honest, most of our solid leads come from events and partners and cross referrals. As a relatively small group, we need to be pretty networked, and we have informal partnership with a lot of other groups and VCs that are sending startups our way.
Within this 2.5 years, you are doing this running this company. Has there been any situation that you made the wrong investment, wrong choice?
Well, I think we have the benefit of the short life span, meaning that all our startups are up and running.
Running, I see.
Some of them are struggling a bit. The others have raised a second and a third round. We didn't have any notable exit. So I think we are in this grace period where we can't really count our losses.
I see.
But probably at least one or two are kind of getting to that area where we will need to probably. I mean, it's up to the founders how they pivot or close down or maybe sell part of the technology.
So when founders pitch to you, what are the three key main points that you pay more attention to make the decision either if you will invest or not?
I think if we say with three, there will be the general one, but in reality, we don't have three.
Oh, wow.
We actually, my co-founder, who's kind of the mastermind of the venture part, has developed a framework of evaluation, I would say description, so that there are about 10 areas where we ask each startup to provide information. First of all, it's what do you do? What are you building? So a clear, not fuzzy word description of what is your product, what is your solution. Then it's what is this solving? Then it's obviously the team. And I think in the team we probably have 2 or 3 subcategories from relevance to the subject, previous startup experience, what exactly it's the area that you are an expert on contributing to the startup. Then we have market. Then we have competitors. Then we have financials, and I think financials again has a couple of elements. Then we have proof of traction or revenue. I mean, depending on the stage of the startup. Sometimes we are talking about traction and MVPs and free users and so on and so forth. Sometimes we're talking about real revenue delivered. Then we have an area related to fundraising so far. How much fund did you raise? Did it come from friends and family, ventures? Did other people invested in you? So that's another area. And then, did I say growth potential or kind
Not yet.
Okay, I'm probably already out of the 10. But it's pretty
Bonus.
much how do you see yourself in 3-5 years in terms of growth or exit strategy or whatever other, what do you have in mind going out of the immediate future? So it's not a mathematical assessment. It's just answering questions, and then based on this, we call it the one pager. All our investors receive it. We have a very lively discussion that the startup obviously pitches, and there are Q&A, but then the startup is leaving the call and we stay for another 1 hour. Sometimes it went up to 3 hours discussing how do we feel by after reading the one pager, listening to the pitch, listening to the Q&As, and if we have interest from a sizable number of participants, we then have a deep dive, we call it, with the startup, where we say, well, we have a soft commitment of XK. Is this something you are interested to pursue? Because sometimes we have an interesting target, but the number of investors or the amount of money they are ready to invest, it's too low for them to engage a process. So we try to be very mindful of the time of the investors, our members, but also of the startup.
Do you have minimum and maximum?
We actually as a group we try to get at least 50K. As an individual, we realize that if you invest less than 5,000, the kind of admin cost and management, it's exceeding the value. So you would need to be ready to invest individually at least 5K in that particular startup. So we basically need to have 5 by 10 interested. Sometimes somebody is very interested and they say, I'm going to be 20K or whatever. I mean, we had somebody who went 100 from day one. So it's varied, and this is why it's great, because everybody has a different interest in.
You have tremendous experience in investment world in Europe and now in America. What are the differences? So as an investor for you, and on the other side, through what experiences founders go in two different countries when they raise funds?
Okay. These are two very different questions.
Yes.
So let's start with the first one. I think it's kind of, I mean, Europe, it's pretty much the same melting pot as US is. I would say even in US there is one experience as you have as an angel in Silicon Valley, and the different experience that you have as an angel in, I don't know, East Coast, Midwest, and this is related to the size of the check. I feel that in Silicon Valley, angels are ready to invest more as in a first individual check than in other places. This is why in Europe we kind of put 5K, and this is a bit of a stretch because our community is mostly first-time investors, and that's a big decision to make. So the size of the check is definitely one difference. I would say also the level of risk that you are ready to take. In Europe, although we talk about startups and emerging ideas, people want to see revenue, want to see something built.
Yeah.
I would say in Silicon Valley, we are ready to invest in dreams much earlier than the MVP is done. It's working, 50,000 people used it, and they love it. So that's a difference that it's quite impactful for the startups.
Yeah.
So if we move now on, and the other thing is, I feel that the level of due diligence that we do, I'm talking about angel investors, not VCs, so it's a different population. I would say it's less detailed in US than we do it in Europe. But I think it's kind of the conservative and need to check and review and be sure.
And it's less riskier in Europe, or is the risk level is the same, more or less?
Well, I think it's probably it's less riskier in Europe just because there are the startups that have just an idea don't get to pitch to the angels. They need to be a bit more mature. So kind of the losing track from idea to the execution, it's a big differentiator. So as you get later in front of the angel investors, the likelihood that you'll succeed, it's a bit higher than if you just wake up one day and say, I think this can be done with AI, so let's go pitch.
Right.
So now going back on the founders, I think the challenge in Europe is that the level of education of the angels, it's pretty low. So you kind of don't know what to expect. You sometimes need to teach your angels about things that are different in a startup than in a usual company. Where is your P&L? Why don't you have a P&L? It's pretty much having a very solid financial situation. I would say in startups are pretty loose about this. They know what the costs are. They are having some hopes of the revenues, but nothing started to be shown yet. So you kind of need to explain to your potential investors that you are earlier in this journey, and there's nothing for them to look into documents. Everything it's an Excel in your mind. I mean, if you're lucky, it's an Excel that it's on a G drive, but it's this part of building a business that it's very known here in US, or at least in Silicon Valley area where we are, but it's not that known in Europe. However, I think the learning curve, it's very accelerated, and people that are interested are already there. So do not imagine Europe as a middle age kind of character that it's discovering the internet. It's not true. The size of the market, it's also very different. By default, startups in Europe start in one country. I mean, and because of the difference of the language and a lot of other things, it's rare to have an idea that it's easily scalable in all markets. So if you start in a country as Romania, or even much smaller like Slovakia, Slovenia, your market is very small. And when you pitch to a French investor or to a US investors, they kind of think this is not making sense. I mean, 500 users, 500,000 users, it may be 40% of the country. So kind of understanding a bit the differences in the market and market potentials and the context, it's not impossible, but it's something that needs to be explained, and some financial information needs to be put in context to understand what it means. 1 out of 3 people in my country are using the product.
Right.
But this adds up to 1 million.
I wanted to invite you all to Femigrants Foundation's annual forum that is hosted by Microsoft. The forum will be on February 28th from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. And we have incredible line of speakers who are startup founders raising billions of dollars, executive level immigrant speakers joining from Fortune 500 companies. At this event, we offer elegantly designed Italian food. There will be different stages for taking red carpet photo session, and it's an amazing opportunity to meet with successful immigrant leaders all in one place. So we are targeting to bring 300 immigrants in one room with Femigrants annual forum called Immigrant Visionaries in Tech, AI, and Startups. I would highly recommend sign up now because ticket sells fast, so don't miss your opportunity to connect with immigrant leaders. So now we are back to the studio, and our guest is Rux, a Femigrant from Romania, and she is an investor sharing her knowledge and experience with us to help educate immigrants, especially women, on investment, on fundraising, growing your startup. So thank you so much, Rux, being with us today. Rux, we talked about your professional experience as an investor. Now I would love to hear about your personal journey. You lived in many different countries as a Femigrant, right? Please tell us about your story. I want to hear about it.
Okay. I think I was lucky to start with.
Okay.
I think I was lucky that I was born in a time that allowed me to see different things. While I started in the communist Romania, so I kind of was the witness of the fall of the communist regime, and that was the first time that my window of opportunities opened. I was there at that time. I was training to become a medical doctor. I became a medical doctor. I worked as a medical doctor for a couple of years, but then realized that I have other opportunities. So that was one luck. And joining an international companies, I was a partner in PwC for 21 years.
Did you join PwC back in Romania, or you already moved to?
I was back in Romania. That was almost the first and last time in my life that I sit in an interview for a job. I had no idea how to do it at that time. I think sometimes I kind of roll in my mind that interview, and I said I wouldn't have given her the job.
I would hire myself, right?
I was. I think I was curious and daring, and it was a time where you could really dream to be anything you wanted. Nobody had experience in the new things that they were offered. So joining an international company already opened a lot of the windows and doors and small entries to working internationally, first on small projects, and then I started to be seconded. So I moved to Prague for a year, and then I moved to Moscow for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And while I was in Moscow, I was responsible for the former Soviet republics. So I visited, including your lovely country,
Azerbaijan.
Yes. And all the neighboring countries over there, and had projects and worked there and met wonderful people. And I think that I feel really I was lucky. There were opportunities for me that I jumped on, and I kind of started to think of myself as a moving piece in the world. So after Moscow, I took almost a 1 year sabbatical and drove my car from Russia to Finland.
Wow.
Did the Nordics, and just kind of visiting. Visiting. It was almost a year of visiting. Then went through the south of Europe, and then kind of personal circumstances made me stop in Paris, fall in love, and moved to Paris, and then rejoined PwC because my sabbatical was over. And I was again lucky that there was an opportunity for me, and it was in a slightly different line of business in digital transformation, which was something kind of almost 10 years ago wasn't on the lips of everybody. So that was a great experience. So I spent another 5 years in Paris.
Amazing.
And I mean, Paris, it's a great city, but it's also kind of the center of Europe, of continental Europe. So had a lot of projects around France. And then we moved to Silicon Valley. And that was a completely different chapter in my life. And
what are the main differences or culture shock you had in two different countries?
I think I was spared by the culture shock when I moved from Romania to Russia, because it's kind of the same world. It's a different language, of course. So language was always a big challenge, and one of the things that I really took serious in each country that I moved in. I did my best to learn the language. So kind of that was a challenge in itself. Although, to be honest, compared to France, speaking a bit of Russian was more praised than speaking a decent French, but making sometimes mistakes. So sorry, France. You tend to be harsh with immigrants on the language side.
I had that experience when I visited.
So that was, I mean, in Russia, let's say culturally wasn't a big difference, but what I learned in Russia was size. I mean, I thought of my country as being quite large for Central and Eastern Europe. There are smaller countries, so of course we are a bit competitive, but we are kind of in a and I came quite cocky and reassured about okay, we are closer to Europe, so probably we know more. So kind of I wasn't the usual classic expat. I mean, compared to Brits or American, I had a certain touch with reality, and I remember I had a first meeting. It was at the beginning, so I had the help of a translator with the chief HR officer of the largest bank in Russia. It's called Sberbank, and I was telling them that I was working for the largest bank in Romania. I had a project there, and kind of explaining what I was doing. And it was in the HR area, and they kind of asked how many they are, and I said 8,500, which was kind of for Romania, was a large employer. And I've seen some commotion, and they kind of translated that, we only have 4,500 in HR here. And I was thinking, I didn't mean that. But, having the luxury of the time leap between translation and everything, I said, okay, and how many are you in total? I said, probably about 2.5 million. I said, okay. So kind of that kind of put me into the right understanding of the size difference of a country like Russia and now as US. So kind of Europe by country, it's smaller. So that understanding that was a cultural, if you want, difference. Moving to Paris, I felt in certain areas there was more conservative and more traditional than I expected. But I learned a lot about appreciating life, understanding the small pleasures, the way you can appreciate your lunch break. And it's not about being lazy or anything. It's about making room for yourself in a kind of bigger picture, and creating this attitude of, okay, we can all now go to lunch and have a good lunch, and then we'll work as hard as it's needed to make up. So I kind of liked that part and started to appreciate it. But I felt, if you want, I felt more of a foreigner in Paris than I felt in Moscow.
You didn't feel included? Right?
I don't know. I felt that the area I was in, it was a bit more traditional, and it was never discriminatory or disparaging, but I did feel odd. Moving to Silicon Valley, nobody cares where you are from, because you basically are from somewhere else most of the time. So I think this is very different. Speaking a language that it's not my language, English, has never been my language, and kind of making mistakes or trying not to cover your accent. I didn't feel I have to do this here. So this is...
You feel more relaxed, right? Not stressed about some other not important things to be successful.
I don't know, maybe it's age, maybe it's confidence. But I honestly feel it's being from another place, it's a non-issue here. And that's very, very different. If we want to stay on the Femigrant part, dress code was so different country to country. I bow to my friends in Russia. I kind of learned how to be feminine there
Yeah.
and take care of the appearances
Right.
in a certain way. In France, you kind of learn this relaxed, chic, effortless elegance, and then you come here, and I started to love hoodies and kind of having just sweatpants and things like that. And then anytime I need to go somewhere, I mean, I made some efforts for today. Sorry,
I appreciate it.
I went back to my
European
Russian
style.
and European style. But it's you just kind of I blend in. I think I managed to. I didn't have to do a lot of effort in any place I landed in to understand what's important, to take the things that fit with me and use them, and just kind of live my life in the new place without too much worries and too much efforts. I think this is what helped me to keep going. And who knows where I'll go next.
I feel the same. Like I feel like after 40s, I am more relaxed for many things that I worried when I was in before 30s, probably. So probably it comes from experience.
I don't know. Maybe understanding you can change things, but you can't change everything.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself in 3 words? 3 keywords.
Oh my God. I'm curious. I think I'm kind. And I think I'm resilient.
Would you like to clarify any of these 3 keywords? Why do you think so? Or why do you choose that specific keyword?
I don't know. I mean, you throw it to me, so it might not be a lot of thinking behind it, but I definitely think that curiosity is the trait that was coming out of surveys, feedback from people, and the way I look at life. I mean, when I'm looking at the history of my searches in a week, you'd say this person has. It's kind of the computer is probably used by another 50 other people.
Oh, wow.
Because I have such a variety of searches and open pages and things that I look at that I think I realized that curiosity, it's definitely something that it's me. Depth and going deeper and for a long time on subject, it's not me. So if you want on the other side, it's superficial as well.
What is one piece of advice you received earlier in career that helped you to be successful?
Honestly, I have been lucky all my life to have wise and kind people around me, and people told me things that probably I started to appreciate a bit later. But I remember one particular thing that was around what we would call now the imposter syndrome. Which is a word that I deeply, deeply hate.
Why?
Because I think it's putting a very negative connotation to a state that can be actually described different. I think it's a beginner. I always kind of, as I moved from jobs types to job types to countries to markets to you name it, you always start again from a beginner place. And I think that we say, well, a woman was promoted and she has the imposter syndrome. Let's talk about investments, and I will go back to the advisor later. But when you start as an angel investor, you haven't done it before. If you haven't worked in VC, you have no knowledge about this. So you are a beginner.
Right.
Why do you have to feel like an imposter? Because you do not understand the lingo that people are in the group. So you enter in a group that it's more advanced. They are talking with all sorts of acronyms that tam, sam, fam, that means nothing to you. And you feel an imposter, but you're just a beginner. So I think that I would love to be able to call this a beginner state syndrome, whatever. But going back to the advice that I was given when I was kind of expressing doubts about will I be able to make it, a very, very wise person that was at that time my boss, and he was an Irish national and very thoughtful and thorough in his things. That so how did the person before you did it? And I said, no, that's the problem. I mean, it's the first time. I said, remember, it's the first time you're doing it. There is no prescribed way of doing it. You'll find your way to do it. You'll learn, and you'll be better, and you'll be great, and then you'll move to another place and feel this again.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the advice was to kind of put it in perspective that the way I have kind of lived my life, I was always in a new situation, so there are no rules and there are expectations, of course. Everything we have expectations, but it's not Wild West. But it's not a model that you need to fit in. Most of the things that I have done were new to a certain extent, so I was able to accept that I will do it my way and find ways. So I don't know how easy to replicate this is, but I think we can all think about this. How was the other person doing it? And in most cases, that was a very different situation, so there are no recipes. Think of it, if you start learning how to swim.
Yeah.
You don't know how to swim. Everybody else in the pool is swimming. You have a teacher. So would you say I'm an imposter? No, I'm a person who doesn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
Somebody will teach me how to swim.
Right.
And I'll swim afterwards. Or there are many, many places where you kind of like, in the school, we accept this, that you need to learn. And nobody says you're imposter because you don't know how to do this.
When I started Femigrants, I never ever dreamed that one day I will receive gold awards, I will go to London, I will meet Sarah Ferguson in person, I will get her support there. So, and then this happens, and then you start questioning, like, did I do enough? Do I deserve it? Or do I need to do more? I don't know. Maybe it looks like you didn't have that experience. Maybe it's me, but I know that many immigrant women, especially when they get promoted to the next level, head level, VP, executive level, they have that moment when they question themselves, like, do I really deserve it? Was I lucky to get this job? Did I do enough?
So you're kind of questioning you have the award now. Was it I worth it for it? I was thinking that usually the imposter syndrome is like, I've been given the award, now will I be up to the level of the job? So I don't know, if you want, it's like in Olympics. I mean, that there are 1,000 people competing for a gold medal, and they all try and they all train hard, and in the end you have one winner.
Yeah.
Just because it was a better day for them or whatnot. I mean, at a certain moment, they are almost equal in terms of effort, abilities, and then one is raising a bit higher. Was it worth it? Was it luck? Was it whatever? I don't think we're talking about these one-offs, big moment. You are relating it to one moment, but are you now worthy to represent all the women Femigrants? what will you do with it? And I think this is where sometimes I feel when I'm kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to start a community of angel investors. I don't know much about it. Can I be the teacher? Can I be the representative for them? So this is how it would work for me in this. How will I stay in a room where everybody knows what they are talking about on these acronyms and kind of still have a place that is relevant?
So the thing that I wanted to, I brought this example to your attention is like, how can we stop questioning our achievements? And we feel like, yes, it's me, I deserve it. Yes, I did it. Accept it. We need to accept the rewards that we receive based on the work commitment we do. But in most cases, we reject our own achievements. We question it.
I think we should have talked to our mothers.
That is such a great point.
I assimilate a bit the kind of the Eastern European culture of the previous century, which sounds awful, but okay, that's it. I was born in the previous century. And the kind of like, you need to try hard. You kind of, not that you're not worthy, but it wasn't the American achievement, celebration and orientation. It's like, I felt that my parents were expecting even more.
Yeah.
Although I was a good student, reasonably good student up to a certain point in life, but I was kind of always under the impression that my mom wanted more.
Yeah, better and more and more and better, right?
So I think I'm a different mother. My son is 29 and doesn't have that questions about his worth. But I don't know. I mean, this is very personal, so we can't necessarily apply it to the society or
maybe
everywhere.
It's a cultural thing because I agree. Coming from European experience and mindset, your experience is different. But I interviewed hundreds of immigrants, and the similar situation happens with women coming from developing countries. Maybe it's because of the culture we grow up, especially when you grow up in a culture when girls and women are not accepted as a leader. And when you achieve something, because you didn't grow up in that mindset, you start questioning, like, did I do enough? Because you grew up in a culture, they never saw you as a leader. And when you become a leader, you go back to the point where what you heard most from other people in your community. So maybe
I'd like to be a better psychologist to be able to answer this question.
That's an authentic answer. Thank you. So at the end, we are almost ending the show. At the end of the podcast, the guests have a chance to ask me one question. It could be anything, but not something too personal.
Not something too personal.
Yeah.
Okay. I will not ask what you are most proud of, but I would like to ask you, if we would talk 1 year from now, what you would like to be most proud of that happened in 25?
That's a great question. I would be proud of to see how Femigrants podcast impacted immigrant women's lives. They learned about money, they learned about investment, they became angel investors or different type of investors. And then they write comments, sharing on my channel, telling that, hey, I watched your show 1 year ago, and this is how it impacted my life. That would be a proud moment for me after a year with this podcast.
I hope you can materialize this and repeat it a couple of times, and then you'll see how it will be happening. And I will be very happy to see it.
Thank you
1 year
so much.
from now.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Rrooks, coming to our studio today, sharing your journey, your experience. I loved how you kept the conversation authentic. So we hit the goal to keep it authentic and share inspired stories. Thanks again for being our guest. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. And now I feel very relaxed. Thanks a lot.
That's great.
Thank you.
Now we can have a coffee.
Great.